Let me tell you a story about Billy, a bright 10-year-old boy, child of two Ivy League parents, top of his class, and straight-A student. But he had this major problem. He was terrible at losing. If he didn't win a game, he would lie, cheat, or have a total meltdown. Over time, even his friends started to drift away. It got so bad that his parents took him to a psychiatrist who gave them somewhat unusual advice. They were told to cut Billy off from all screens. Yes, that meant TV, games, phones, completely gone. But 4 weeks later, his meltdowns completely disappeared. And 6 months later, he was running for class president. It's quite unreal, but Billy's story actually isn't unique. We need to start asking, what are screens doing to our kids? Because what happened with Billy is happening everywhere. Across the country, thousands of kids show troubling behavioral changes. Anxiety, aggression, isolation, not fueled by trauma or genetics, but fueled by the number one thing affecting our kids: screens. In the early 2010s, psychologists noticed something alarming in the population data. Teen mental health, which usually changes gradually and slowly, started changing fast. Between 2005 to 2012, the teen depression rates barely moved. They stayed around 1%, but from 2012 to 2017, the rates quadrupled to nearly 4%. That's quite a lot. So what happened in 2012? That's when smartphones and social media exploded. Suddenly, everyone was online all the time. Even in 2012, a survey showed that 60% of people already felt that they were using their devices too much. And around the same time, another troubling trend emerged. It was observed that older kids, 12 and up, were suddenly being diagnosed with ADHD. Now, this is clinically odd. ADHD symptoms usually show up much earlier. These weren't cases that were overlooked or misdiagnoses. These were entirely new developments in teenagers that, surprise, surprise, now had smartphones. Kids with smartphones started showing rebellion, anxiety, and emotional fragility. Why? Well, it's not just because of the screen use, but rather what is neglected because of it. More screens means less time outdoors, less play, and less social learning. Just glowing rectangles completely replacing childhood. Then came 2020. The pandemic forced everyone online, and screen time doubled. This proved to be quite detrimental to all people. Studies in adults done at the time found that those at risk of internet addiction were over 2 times more likely to have depression and anxiety. And the heavy screen users, the ones with severe addiction, were 13 times more likely to have both anxiety and depression. Now, teachers are saying that the new generation, the Gen Alpha or iPad kids, who grew up in the digital world, show poor emotional control and aggressive behavior. The screen isn't just entertainment anymore. It's literally shaping how these developing brains work. So what makes screens so addictive? Dopamine. Every ping, every like, every little win in a game releases dopamine. This hormone gives your brain a quick hit of pleasure. But when that rush fades, you feel cranky, distracted, and even empty, leaving you wanting more. Video games and social media apps are designed knowing this. They use tiny feedback loops like dings, flashes, and constant updates to keep you hooked. It's addictive by design. Some games even mimic gambling. It's like a slot machine in your pocket that gives you tiny wins, bright lights, and non-stop rewards. You keep playing because you never know what you'll get. And this is not new science. Back in the 1940s, psychologist B.F. Skinner put pigeons in a box with a button and rewarded them with food whenever they pressed it. He found that the pigeons who got food at random intervals pressed the button more often than those who got it consistently. It turns out we're not so different. Of course, social media doesn't help. Unlike a movie that has an ending, Social media never ends. There's no bottom of the page, leading you to doom scrolling. You scroll endlessly, constantly pulled in by likes, notifications, and the promise of new and stimulating videos. A survey found that 83% of smartphone users have their phones within arm's reach all day long. It's not just for convenience, but rather, we have been slowly conditioned and become tethered to our phones. Americans spend an average of 7 hours a day behind screens. That's excluding work and school. Now, let's say sleep takes 8 hours, work takes another 8, add meals, showers, commuting time, chores, and what's left? Not much. Now, consider this. At the current rate, if you live to 90 years old, 93% of your free time will be spent behind screens, and mostly by accident. That free time should be used for growth and development. You already see the impact in society. Many young people can't cook, date, or hold a job. And that's not because they're lazy, but because they never learned how. They were given screens too early and they never looked up. Adults aren't immune either. Kids notice when parents are glued to their phones, feeling ignored or abandoned. It's no wonder they end up mimicking. And when parents use screens as digital babysitters, yes, it's convenient, but it comes at a cost. And you may say that all things are good in moderation. Yes, moderation sounds nice, but it's like drinking water at a bar. The system is designed to keep you trapped. There are 4 major mental health problems directly linked to excessive screen use. First, depression. It happens when your dopamine system crashes. Your brain gets used to constant stimulation. Then real life feels dull and empty. Even things you used to love become boring. Then secondly, anxiety kicks in because screens trigger fight or flight responses. First adrenaline, then cortisol, hormones that, when activated constantly, negatively impact your mental health. Thirdly, ADHD-like symptoms develop because focus works like a muscle. If you never train it, it gets weaker. Screen entertainment is highly distracting, so time spent scrolling is time not spent learning to concentrate, and the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for impulse control, can actually shrink the more you use screens. And finally, autism-like behaviors emerge because screens isolate you from real human interaction. When kids spend hours online, they're actually not socializing or learning how to read faces, navigate conversations, or handle social awkwardness. The more they escape into screens, the more difficult real life becomes. Now, this isn't just about phones or tablets. It's a larger story about time, about presence, and human connection. The human brain wasn't built for non-stop novelty. We need boredom, we need stillness, and we need each other. That's how we actually grow. The solution isn't that complicated. It begins by establishing strong, affectionate, and attentive relationships. Real ones. They're the only real antidotes. We have to be more intentional, more present, and ultimately more human. Now, Billy's story isn't magic. It's just what happens when you swap pixels for people. Maybe it's time to unplug. Not completely, not forever, but enough to remember what real life feels like. If we want our kids to grow up connected, curious, and emotionally healthy, we've got to lead by example, one choice at a time. Thank you for watching The Upgrade. Like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. We have a lot more coming.